So furthermore into subsetting, right? So other ways of doing the same. So if you have to search for a pattern and extract some data, how would you do that? So I'm just going to clean the screen for now. Just create my vars, right? Another way of doing subsetting, and say names. So obviously names is the names of the column over there, and I'm saying company, that's a data frame. And you can mention something like percent in. So some of you who are traditionally from the SQL background might have seen this percent in sign quite often when you're searching for some substring search in data. And then you can say a u3, something like this, and then a u5, right? And then you're going to just push it, right? So this is going to be saved. You can have a look at this, my vars, right? So it's basically going to search in your data frame basis whatever search string you have passed, and it is going to search whether u3 and u5 are present as a pattern in your column names, right? So obviously u3 and u5 stand at the location, so I can say it's present in this location, that's why it's marked as true over here and marked as true over here. And then when you actually get the data, you say new data, allocation sign, company, and you're going to parse this over here. So you're going to do the reverse, not my wheres, right? So you're actually doing the reverse over here. And now if you check new data, it will give you everything except u3 and u5, because you said the apostrophe sign, that's a negation sign, and you said do the reverse, right? So that's how you can do. One more way of doing subsetting, you can do a little bit of trimming also. So you can drop some columns if you want, so that you can very easily do by saying new data. So obviously remember one thing, we are recursively overwriting the objects, right? Traditionally, if you are working on some real-time code, you might not prefer doing this if you are not a hardcore programmer, because you might drop something which is important, right? So we are dropping the 8th and the 10th column by saying so. And now if I have a look at the data will be same as this, right? So both of them are doing the same thing. One is by actually referring to the column name, and one is by the address, that is the location. You can even set the columns u3 and u4 to undefined. That is also one way of doing it. So I can say company, right, dollar u3, but rather than doing it on company, I would say let me create company 1, which is the replica of company, right? Because I'm just going to do a company 1 dollar u3 allocation sign. So if in one shot, if I want to just write off or clear off 2 columns, I can do that also. I'm not doing it on the original data frame company, but I have created a new called as company 1, in which I'm going to say that I'm allocating this as null. Obviously it has to be capital null, that's built. And then when I have a look at company 1, oh, one mistake. So it's always better that you create copies and then work on that, because we didn't give the reference as the column name over here. Company 1 location company. Let's have a look at company 1 first. It's coming null. I guess I have overwritten somewhere company. Okay, we have done one mess. If you see over here, we have set company 1 allocation company directly null, so everything has been nullified, right? So makes sense. I'm just going back to history where I have some things kept, right? So I'm just going to bring this back. So this is where this would help you. So if you have executed some wrong codes, you have this option which can save you. So let me just check. The data is there in company 1 now. It's there, right? So this is also one option to bring back your lost data by using history, if in case if you have done something like this. Now I'm going to say company 1 dollar, so I have it, and I'm saying u3 allocation sign company 1 dollar u5, and I'm saying this to be null, right? And then when I have a look at company 1, the u3 and the u5 have been eliminated because I have allocated null. So if you allocate a null to any object, it basically becomes an empty box, right? The same thing you saw over here when we by mistake, instead of making the null to a single column, we did it on the whole object and we lost the data. Coincidentally, we had the history from where we extracted the codes back and we ran the whole thing again, and we have our data back, right? Obviously there is no undo in R, but you do have the code. So if you have the data object somewhere, you can just bring them back, right? So this is one way of doing it. So we'll proceed from here. So now we'll start selecting observations. So till now what we were doing is we were subsetting or selecting basically columns, right? But we were not selecting rows, right? So how do we do that, right? So for that, what we can do is we can just say new data. So I'm just going to extract company data into new data, and I'm saying just give me 1 to 3, right? The sequence 1 to 3, which means give me the first 3 rows, and I'm not specifying the columns. And then I say new data. So what we are seeing is that you have all the columns, but you have specifically selected the first 3 rows. That's how the data is coming. You can mention any index and it will accordingly come over there. You can also say new data allocation sign company, and instead of doing an index search, you can say company, and you can use the which command. So basically you're giving some conditional statements. So you're saying company dollar, and you're saying gender. So if you want to exactly specify that you want to search only those rows, or you want to extract only those rows where the gender is male indicated by M over here, and you want to give one more condition, right? You're not restricting yourself to one condition, and you say that the age has to be greater than 25, then you can mention that also. And I'm not specifying the columns, so I'm saying comma. So select all the columns. So if you do this, this is what is happening. So it has specifically extracted those rows wherein the gender is specifically male as well as the age is above 25. Now you can use this and sign, so that means both the conditions have to be satisfied, or you can use a pipe symbol, right, that specifies that either of the condition has to be satisfied. So depending upon your situation, you might use any of these condition statements. And if you don't want to use obviously the reference name company again and again, you can just say an attach, right, again, and just attach the data. So that is company, so that you don't have to give the reference names, right? And you can say new data allocation sign and company, just to make the code a bit shorter, which reference, and you're not going to give the reference, directly say gender is equal to male, or for change you can mention this as F also, right? And age is greater than say 25, right? And give this an empty blank, and obviously this has to be box bracket because you are accessing something inside that, right? And then if you have a look at new data, you can see now incidentally in your text it would be male, but I have specifically given F over here, so it has returned the rows which have a female, right? Again, if you want to do this, you can just change this to male, and then you can say new data male. That's it.